He feels this season he needs to rotate that a little bit more, and that's obviously what he tried to do last night. But I mentioned the fact that mistakes had crept in. When Liverpool coughed up possession, they certainly found themselves too open at times, and it was far too easy for Galatasaray to create opportunities in that respect as well. So we put it to Arne Slot in that post-match news conference as to whether changes are really the big reason behind those mistakes that we saw from Liverpool last night. And this is what Arne Slot had to say in response.
What you see is, and I think I've explained this many times, that there are a few players from us that missed pre-season, so you simply cannot play them every single game. Yeah, you can, but then that could become a risk of players getting injured. We see this more and more because the demands go up more and more, and if the demands go up, you have to prepare players for these demands. And so yeah, that means that it's not always that I want to rotate, but sometimes I just need to, because a player is not ready to play 3 times 90 minutes in 7 or 8 days.
And Vinny, look, to make matters worse for Slot, there are injury concerns, aren't there, for a couple of his key players?
That's right, Hayley. It made a disappointing night even more so because there were those injuries to Ekitike and to Alisson as well. Ekitike went down in about the 68th minute. He was just overstretching, trying to retrieve possession of ball behind him, and you almost knew immediately, I think, that he was going to have to come off. And it seemed quite hopeful at full time as to whether Ekitike is not going to suffer any long-term damage in that respect, not spend too much time on the sidelines, although there was that caveat to that, the adrenaline's still pumping after a game, and when you're walking around, it's a little bit different to sprinting. There was more concern over Alisson, the injury he picked up, though. It seemed quite innocuous at the time, made a save, but then he signalled pretty quickly to the bench that he couldn't continue, had a little bit of treatment on the pitch, and then had to go off. And so, again, we asked Arne Slot what the situation would be and how likely he is to play against Chelsea at the weekend. And this is what Arne Slot had to say.
If my player is on the floor, I 9 out of 10 times fear the worst. And with the worst, I mean that he cannot continue. And that's what happened with Alisson. So yeah, then normally he will not be able to play Saturday. That's 99.9%. I've already said 100%, but let's make it 99.9. But I think it's 100.
Can I just check on Hugo Ekitike as well? It looked like he seemed to pull something when he stretched.
He felt something. He said he couldn't continue, so we had to take him off. Let's see how he is for the weekend.
So big injury concerns ahead of that game against Chelsea. The positive for Liverpool, of course, is that they are still 3 points clear at the top of the Premier League. But for that to remain intact, or to even to build on that, performances need to improve from what we've seen against Crystal Palace and against Galatasaray last night.
Vinny, for now, thank you very much indeed. Well, these were the damning words from Jamie Carragher about his old club after last night's defeat. He said, "I'm not watching a top team. Liverpool aren't playing football at the moment. They're playing basketball. It is just end to end, and I don't think top teams play like that." He's obviously a fantastic manager, but right now Liverpool went from, I would call them a workman team like last season. And they've sprinkled a little bit of stardust on it in terms of transfers that they have brought in. But I think for the manager now, last season was such a smooth ride for them, he's now got to really earn his money. Carragher also had his say on Florian Wirtz. He thinks it's time for Liverpool's £116 million summer signing to be dropped from the team. Carragher went on to say, right now, I don't think the balance of the team is right. And the obvious one that stands out is Florian Wirtz. He's just not at the races at all. He's a young boy coming into a new league. He's got plenty of time to go as a Liverpool player, but right now, I think he needs to come out of the team, because right now it is a mess. It's not the losses, it's not the defeats. This has been coming from day one.
7 wins and Liverpool appear to be flying this season, but 2 defeats in 4 days have well and truly put the brakes on. They lost 1-0 away to Galatasaray last night, and Jamie Carragher says the signs of weakness have been there all season. This is what he said: "I'm not watching a top team. Liverpool aren't playing football at the moment. They're playing basketball. It's just end-to-end, and I don't think top teams play like that." Liverpool went from a workman-like team last season, and they've sprinkled a little bit of stardust in terms of transfers. They haven't gained anything going forward, but they have lost a lot defensively. Here's what manager Arne Slot made of their performance last night.
For me, it was a different loss than the one we had against Palace. because for me there was a lot more to like, especially in the first half, which was maybe different to the Palace game. And in the second half, it became harder and harder for us to create. First of all, because they were fighting with all they had, so you always have to give credits to them. Second of all, because we hardly played in the second half.
It seemed that...
And we've hardly played, I mean, the ball was hardly in play.
Right, Charlie Austin, good morning. That's Slot's take on it, but Jamie Carragher said he's not watching a top team. Is he right?
They're obviously a top team on paper, but when they go across that white line, they're certainly not playing like one. Going forward, yes, they've got all the talent in the world. They spent big money on the attacking players, but it's just not gelling at the moment. And defensively, they look like they could be carved open at any point.
So, Carragher suggested about Florian Wirtz, £116 million. He suggested he should be dropped. I can show you what he said. Actually, he said he's just not at the races at all. He's a young boy coming into a new league. He has got plenty of time to go as a Liverpool player, but right now I think he needs to come out of the team. Liverpool go back to what they were last season and then go from there and build some confidence, build some defensive solidity, because right now it's a mess. It's not the losses. This has been coming from day one. So specifically on Florian Wirtz, before we open it up a bit more, as a player, what would you say is the best thing to do? Take him out of the firing line, or keep playing him to play him into form? Because everyone agrees his form's going to come.
As players, you always want to play. You want to continuously play and form will come, like you say. But I think the best is sometimes to take a step back and come out of the spotlight. Yeah, people will be saying, oh, they've dropped him. Do you know what? It's probably right and it probably should happen. He comes out, and then on the flip side of it, Liverpool can actually go back to playing that midfield three with Dom playing as in the middle there, and we're playing Conor Bradley at right back, because at the moment I feel like moving jigsaw pieces around to get Florian Wirtz in. I just think his performances haven't warranted as many starts as he's got.
How frustrating would it be for him though if he is taken out?
I know last year that was a tough thing to do. Now it seems to come up to the front man, a ball set and a ball in behind, and they have runners, and there's not a lot Liverpool can do about it.
Yeah, there's a message there, which we've had a lot of this ever since deadline day, really. Liverpool will be kind of missing out on Mark Gahey. Is it just a centre-back issue? Because the defence, you've got the midfield in front of the defence, you've got the full-backs as well. Is it simply centre-backs that are an issue?
I think it is going to, you have to say defence, because both full-backs, Andy Robertson's still at the club, of course, but he's not playing. Milos Kerkez is. And then, like I say, we've played Conor Bradley at right-back, or Sobersai's been playing right-back, and Trent's obviously left. I think it is the whole back four. That's the issue, and they're not gelling as well as what the top end of the pitch are. Also, I just think the more it goes on, it's being highlighted, yes, at the top end, that they're not scoring, maybe because that's where the money is, but ultimately at the back it's not there. And the more you actually think about it, I know Alexander Isak transfer saga went on all the way through the summer, but maybe getting Hugo Ekitike through the door was probably the domino effect of trying to get Mark Gahey in before Isak.
So would you, in hindsight, would you have targeted the centre-back and left Alexander Isak?
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, Tom, and obviously you go, right, I want Isak in, but he's the main target, he's the number one target, and of course you go look at it now, I think maybe we should have got Mark Gahey in, just for that defensive solidarity in there.
Can I just check on Hugo Ekitike as well? It looked like he seemed to pull something when he scratched.
He felt something. He said he couldn't continue, so we had to take him off. Let's see how he is for the weekend.
Goalkeeper scenario, I'm going to say yes to a degree, because the performances he's had to put in so far to bail Liverpool out has been phenomenal, been world class. He's a world class goalkeeper.
You haven't started the season as well, so it isn't quite gelling at the moment. I wouldn't say I'm worried in that I think they'll get it right, but at the time it's quite painful to watch. Well, it has been this week anyway, when they are looking a little bit disjointed and pretty open at the back as well.
Are you watching a top team?
Well, we're watching the champions, and we're watching the team who were top of the league, so they're top in that regard because they are still number one in the Premier League as far as I know. I don't think they can be moved down just because people aren't enjoying it, and so they're not performing quite at the best, but Listen, I think we can have false memories sometimes of seasons of the past, and even last season there was times when Liverpool weren't exactly flying. They were getting some criticism. People were saying that, you know, they didn't look like champions, and then they ended up winning the league at a little bit of a canter. So I think sometimes we can, you know, reimagine.
John, I know they won the league at a canter, but that let's be real, and we can look at it now. The biggest thing is that the other team wasn't good enough, and Liverpool was continuously winning, and on that game after game they was winning, whereas the others can't do that. I feel like now the gap has got a lot closer, but Liverpool wasn't playing this style of football last year to what they are now, defensively and attackingly. No chance, because at the moment I see it, Liverpool can be getting cut through, balls in behind. I've never seen so many times a ball in behind and with a sort of defensive running back in, or Alisson having to make world-class saves, maybe one a game. At the moment he's having to make 3 or 4.
Yeah, listen, we are too open, and we certainly were at Crystal Palace, but, you know, that's why the goalkeeper's the best in the world, and we want shown that he's willing to start him on the bench if he thinks the game's right. Does he think a trip to Stamford Bridge is one where he might do that with their style in midfield? We'll sort of have to wait and see, really, but the problem is that there's not necessarily others who are playing at the top. I think McAllister's been disappointing this season. I'm not sure if he's been fully fit. Obviously, Gravenberch is playing well and will start, but, you know, he needs to get 11 out there. And at the moment, it's you know, you're picking between players, a few players who aren't necessarily playing at the best, and hoping they show what they can.
We've got a voice note in from, I assume it's a Liverpool fan, called Jean. This is what they've said.
I'm a Liverpool fan from Plymouth, and I believe that Liverpool should have cashed in on Salah and Van Dijk in the summer. They're past their prime, and they're finished.
What are you on about? What do you mean? The finish?
But also cashed in, they would have gone for free, wouldn't they?
Well, there you go. That goes out of everything, don't it? Liverpool was never going to let Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold leave the building at all. Like them two, that was all. Everyone see that. Trent was going, the other two was going to stay. Right, that's the scenario of it. Going back to that question is more on the Salah one, where we're so used to seeing him be so effective in games. The start of the season has not been there, but I do believe that's because Szoboszlai's not been playing that 10, and people kind of forget the energy that he puts into that first press to go and win the ball back. That disrupts everything else, and it is a knock-on effect. And if he's been playing at right back, it's almost impossible for him to set the tone all the way up there.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair, and I think it's not just Szoboszlai, it's the fact that he's lost the right back playing behind him. He used to play him those first time balls over the top that he used to love, and also the centre forwards he was playing with last year aren't there as well, and that he felt like he had a good understanding with. And so I feel like we've upgraded it the number 9 position, but for Mo Salah he's still learning about the runs that they're making, and maybe feels a little bit like the team isn't quite set up to suit him at the moment. But he is the highest paid player at the club, and so he needs to be delivering more at the moment. But also for the manager, you know, he needs to be making sure, well, am I setting up the team to get the best out of him? I agree with you that Szoboszlai is someone who he enjoys playing with, who does a lot of running around him, energy around him that maybe allows him to concentrate a bit more on what he does best. And getting that right back position nailed down, who's going to play there, I think is crucial as well to get that understanding going down that right-hand side. I hope it's Bradley. I really like Bradley, and I'd hope to see him start at the weekend.
As I do all the time when there's any criticism of Liverpool, you are still top of the league, and everyone says your squad is better than it was last season when you won the league. But your next game, it's a big one on Saturday, away at Chelsea. Are you concerned about that one?
I think you've got to respect them. I think, you know, you've got to remember it's names and it's how teams are playing, and arguably Crystal Palace are a better team at the moment than Chelsea, sort of where we've just gone in terms of, you know, how they've played over the last 18 games it is now that they're unbeaten. But listen, it'll be tough with the way that we're playing, but it will click, and I'm just hoping it's Sunday, and we're still creating chances, we're still creating moments. And listen, there's a lot of pride in this Liverpool squad. They won't enjoy getting beat, and that's why you keep the likes of Virgil, and that's why you keep the likes of Mo Salah, is because they've been there and done it, and they've been in these situations, and they won't be enjoying it, and they'll be more determined than anyone to turn it around. So I'm hoping for big performance from our big players at the weekend, and if we do that, I think we'll have too much.
Yeah, and after the international break, it's Manchester United at home, which I know you'll be looking forward to. John, thank you.